Hi, everyone. Welcome in. I've got the tunes glowing. I've got Amerie's latest song playing, and it's time for book club. So excited. I'm excited. Okay, you know how this goes. Let's do a tech check here. I'm just honestly, this is my hype moment. So I will not be screaming like this over music the whole time. We're just getting everybody in. Let's all settle in. Let's get our cocktails. Welcome. I'm super excited. So I'm going to start off right now. We're waiting for Ameriie. Everyone's sort of settling in. Hi, everyone. To those of you who are new, my name is Tanya Sam, and I'm the host of the Tanya Time Book Club. I see a lot of old faces here. I want you guys to be able to see everybody. So check your view because it's my favorite part of this because we get to see everybody's faces. So come on in. I think we're waiting for people to roll in. You guys are so punctual. I can't believe it. I love every second of this.
Yay, punctuality.
Yay, punctuality. Is it too loud right now? But I'm trying to set the vibe here. Hi, Jeanell. Um, yeah, I'm definitely trying to set the vibe here. And I'm going to start recording in a minute. We are, I think, waiting for Ameriie. I'm going to add Jeanell, you as a host here. Give us a second, you guys, while we get everything perfect here. But welcome. Ameriie, when you get here, just raise your hand so that we can see you. I'm going to start recording now. I don't see where. Oh, there we are. We're already recording.
We're
Perfect.
recording.
Thank you, Alicia. Hi, everyone. I am Tanya Sam, and I'm the host of the Tanya Time Book Club. I'm going to start off tonight and say we are going to have a great evening. I'm playing Ameriie's new song. It's called 4 a.m. in Mulholland, which I think ties in perfectly with this book that is set in Hollywood and LA. So I think you're really going to enjoy it. So you can check that out. Ameriie will be joining us soon. I'm going to go through a little bit of housekeeping because I know we have some OG book besties. We have some newbies here, but welcome to Tanya Time Book Club. We are a virtual, in-person, and traveling book club. Anybody can join, so you are welcome. If you are here, you're automatically one of our book besties. This is my other co-host, Jeanell English, and my business partner at Elizabeth and Minnie Publishing. We are an independent publishing house. Our first titles will come out in 2026, and we love you guys. We love your support. We are sort of a twofold community of people that love to read books, get lit together, travel the world. So if you are an up-and-coming author, of course, you are looking to write some fiction, we always want to receive your submissions, so please submit to us. For book club tonight, I'm going to say we start off with the let me turn this down a little bit. We start off with everybody on mute, and this is really your time. If you have never come to one of our author Zoom parties, it is about getting lit. It's about so much fun, conversation, and your time to really interact with the authors who are our rock stars. Ameriie shall be here shortly, but for those of you who don't know, we are talking everything in this book. So whether you've read it or not, we're happy to have you here. I just was on live telling people like, this might be the new Cliff Notes. If you're trying to get back into reading and you have or have not read this book, you're in the right place because once you leave here, you will felt like you have read the book. And I'm giving you the tea because now when people say, hey, what books are you reading? You can be like, well, I just read Ameriie's debut novel. Let's call her debut. We'll get into that in a minute. This is not a ghost story. And you can drop all sorts of like esoteric, very smart and intellectual things at all your next parties. And you're now a reader. So you're welcome for that. You're going to have a great time. We will have the author here for about 60 minutes, and then you can stay afterwards for the after party. The after party is where we digress into all things currently reading, what you're watching, pop culture. It is no holds barred. You know, you can keep your camera on or you can keep your camera off, but we love to have you, and we just get to freestyle dialogue and chat with your best book besties. We've got people who've gotten married, engaged, so bring it all. What did I miss, Jeanell?
I don't think you missed everything. This is so exciting, though. We love these full spoiler chats, and it's so good to see faces. Dee, I'm loving your animated face. Missed that little gem. It's good to see y'all.
Well, we're very excited. I'm going to say a couple more housekeeping things because I think everyone's dying to know how Tanya Time Book Club is. I typically pick books that I feel are really inspiring, that are going to instill deep conversations and connections in us. Sometimes it's just fun and light. Sometimes they're a little bit deeper. I loved this book. And when Amerie gets here, just let me know, you guys. I love this book because I thought it was complicated. And I think that's what really stretches us. I try to pick books that either take us to different places throughout the world, allow us to use fiction to walk in other people's shoes, and just really explore culture, travel, and of course, connection with our book besties. So typically we'll pick a book, we'll read it online together. I'll post the reading schedule and we'll read and interact on Instagram, talk about the themes, questions. It's really a fast two-way dialogue as we go week by week. And then it culminates in an author Zoom party, which are always full spoiler conversations. One of the things that I was really passionate about when I started bringing my book club online was oftentimes our favorite authors would release a book on their pub day and they do one or two Barnes and Noble moments, but none of us had been able to read the book. So this is the fun part. We get to read along together and we get to talk to the author. So I think that was my last thing. The other thing I wanted to say about book club is please make sure you sign up for our newsletters because we're going to be releasing our next trips. For those of you who don't know, we've gone to London, Ghana, New Orleans, Atlanta, and we always tie in our favorite authors. Tia Williams, Kennedy Ryan, who else? We've had Sadiqa. We've had, who did we see in, Victoria Christopher Murray, the author of Harlem Rhapsody. So we do a hybrid mix of virtual, in-person, author Zoom parties, and travel. So our next trip will be another international trip. Everyone's asking. I'm not going to tell Jeanell. She's like,
don't say it yet. I was like, don't say it yet.
You guys know it will be not in 2025. It'll be in 2026. Yes. I think it'll be further into 2026, you guys. So start saving your coins, sign up for the newsletter. You'll be the first to know. I know everyone's like, tell me.
Give us
You're going to love the place. Really and truly, you are going to love the place. I just saw Amerie just joined now. So there will be many, many more trips and stuff coming, but make sure you sign up for the newsletter. And I believe our guest of honor is here somewhere in the mix.
Sorry. So sorry, ladies. I was on about 10 till. I was in a different link. I was like,
where
am I? No, it's okay. We're texting you, but you were on, so it was too late. And I was like, I don't think they would be late. I was like, let's find them.
In the right place.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Well, Amerie, welcome.
Sorry for my delay.
No, we are so excited to have you here. I feel like everybody, I want to take this opportunity. Please unmic. We want your beautiful voices to chorus in and chime in and welcome Amerie to book club.
Welcome. Enjoyed your book. Thank you.
Enjoy the book.
Welcome.
Thank you, guys. Hi, Tamara.
So glad you're here.
Hi there.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
I love it.
Welcome. You.
So, Amerie, thank you so much for joining us. I want to start off by saying welcome to book club. You've had an incredible book club through the years. You've had so much interest in author, and you've also had in writing and songwriting. You've also had an incredible career, and I think a lot of us have grown up listening to your songs. Before you got here, I was just playing 4 a.m. Mulholland.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you. I'm glad. It always makes me feel really, really good when people play that project.
Yeah, no, I was super excited about that. And so I feel like it ties right into this book. But before we get started, I wanted to start off by saying we wanted to catch up because a lot of us have grown up on your music. We saw you at the BET Awards, but we wanted to go a little bit back because we know you for your singing, you for your songwriting. And now here you are. This is your third book, actually. Sometimes I like to say this is your debut novel, but it's your third book.
It is.
YA, sort of a trilogy of what would I call it? Villain stories, and also
that was an anthology. Yep, I've written them. Hold on. Oh, I might show you. See, I would turn my head, but then y'all can see my scrunchie. You know what? I got on a scrunchie, y'all.
That's
I was like,
These
okay.
are cool
you gotta
now.
make a cute bun. And I was like, just do the scrunchie. It's quick. It's nice and tight. I'll go like this. I'm gonna back up like.
But look, we
Oh, I
love
get
a
it.
scrunchie. I'm like, are you kidding? We love a scrunchie. It's all right.
Scrunchies are $50 at Aloe Yoga right now. So
Yeah,
apparently
that's
they're
true.
cool.
So I'm
Scrunchies
gonna
have
show
come back.
y'all.
Also, I would just like to say those Meg the Stallion knees, amazing.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, I did actually. So this is the anthology I did called "Because You Love to Hate Me," which is a villain anthology. Because for me, like growing up, I always I don't know, like Gem and the Holograms. Remember Gem and the and Pizzazz?
Yeah,
Remember?
yeah,
Mhm.
she's truly outrageous.
Yes, and I loved them. But I remember thinking as a kid, I felt so bad for Pizzazz. And I remember, I was like, listen, I like Jerica, I love Gem too. But Jerica always has Jem to get her out of trouble. Her dad, the Starlight Estate or whatever, she was always able to get out of trouble because she has that. I said, Pizzazz doesn't have that. Yes, she has a dad that has a lot of money. I was like, but doesn't everybody see that Pizzazz is sad? That's what I thought as a kid. Doesn't everyone see that Pizzazz is sad? That she doesn't have a good family? I was like, no one sees that? So I always kind of was looking at like the villain as somebody a lot deeper. Like I don't like to label people. I don't like to even characters in movies because no one is flat. No one is a flat character, right? But that stuck with me so much, and I was like, you know what? Because Tony Montana is one of my favorites. To me, he's not even a villain. I'm like, I love Tony Montana. I love. I just love. I love all the characters. And I was like, all right, so let's choose these so-called villains and everybody write a story, but from their point of view. So we get to understand like what made them who they are. And
Mhm.
you know what I mean? And why they are. And so I chose Jack. My story is called Jack from Jack and the Beanstalk,
Mhm.
but it's a little bit different because the giant is a girl. And because
Ooh.
I always looked at that story differently too. I'm like, he's coming up the beanstalk, he's over there
Yeah.
stealing stuff. I'm like, who told him to go in there and steal the golden goose? I would be mad too. I just like I don't understand. No one sees this.
So what's so fascinating to me about this is just honestly how you think. And one of the things as we talk about, as we read through, this is not a ghost story. And I don't know, Amerie, have you had a full spoiler conversation with a book club on this
I
book?
have not. I've not done full spoilers, so
Welcome.
that's going to be really fun.
Because we have lots to say. Like
Okay.
we're an interesting book club group. And like we are underlining pages. We've gone through, we've
Oh,
corrected comments. Oh, we loved it. And we're also like, girl, you are way smarter than us. So we're very
no,
excited
I'm
for
not.
your esoteric mind to be here. But
Thank
I'm
you.
really excited about this. So you wrote the villain story. You wrote also a children's book.
Yeah, well, I don't have the children's book right with me because I think it's in my son's room. But
You will do great things.
I
It's
did do Black Girl Power too. That's
oh,
This is not my anthology. This is just an anthology. I wrote a short story for Black Girl Power.
Mm.
wow.
It's a story for like black girls in every situation. I chose a horror story. I made mine horror. A Phoenix First Must Burn, which I don't think it was featuring just women. It was basically 16 stories of black girl magic, resistance, and hope. Because these are like girls, like little girls, and these are like YA, young adult aged groups, like women. And then I did Cool Awkward Black, which is kind of like stories that center around like black nerds and black geekery. So I chose like a magic school, but some people did things like nerdcon type stuff. But yeah, so I did those. And then the children's book, You Will Do Great Things, which is like a picture book for kids.
I appreciate and love this because I think in our book club in particular, I like to say number one, it's sort of the revenge of the nerds. And it's also the type of thing where I say for us beautiful Black women, like, don't let this pretty fool you because we are so smart and multi-hyphenate and layered. And that is why like this community comes together because we're all just looking for great conversation and intellect, dialect, and community and connection. So I am here for it. I actually had no idea you had the other anthologies. So I am remiss that I missed that.
No, it's you would miss it because those I didn't edit those. So those were
Okay.
just like things that I was invited to be a part. But the first one, the villain one that you mentioned, that's the only one that I put together. And the others, like someone asked if I wanted to come on board and
So
just
as we come
contribute.
to This Is Not a Ghost Story, I mean, the title alone had me hooked, right? Because I feel like this was such a deliberate choice now that we've read it. Can you start by number one, I want to know if you can summarize it in your own words, like when you
Okay.
describe this. And the thing that I think is interesting about this is you can go right through to the end here. It's not like you're on Good Morning America and you've got to be cheeky about not giving too much away. But
And then this happened, and then
yeah,
okay,
right?
so because we're doing spoiler, yeah,
Yeah, you
it's
can
like I'm
tell
so
us like,
not used to doing spoiler. I gotta get myself trained to be like, and then okay. Well, first, this is not a ghost story. That title didn't even come until the very end. So, um, the story for years was called John. I still really like John actually, but I think this is really, really fitting. Um, it was always John, but it just wasn't maybe giving people like enough of the idea of what the story would be about, that kind of thing. And really, what happened was I was writing, and I I was writing something else. I usually don't take breaks in between writing things. You like the way it always was. You like the John title? Oh, thank you. It was just called John.
yeah,
Actually, it was going to be called John, and the idea for the book cover, I wanted it to be just like a plain background. You know when you just do photo shoots, it's like a color background with just a single glazed Krispy Kreme donut on the front. See, because the cover could be this, but the cover could also be, because we've read it, right? The donut, because the donut symbolizes life and like all of the circularity and how things come back.
You
And
just
like,
answered a question with that.
exactly.
I'm like,
oh, okay.
we were like, donuts, Krispy Kreme, do you just love them? Like that
I
came
do
from, but
love
okay.
but like when they come through the conveyor belt, it's like, because the story is kind of like a novel about hope and homecoming, reckoning, and redemption. I think those kind of like come in, but it's like the circle of life, the things that you like come back to, the things that come back to you. And so something about, I don't know if you
Ooh.
guys are into Krispy Kreme, but there's a certain, the way those donuts come down, like I put all of my love for Krispy Kreme into the Reuben
Perfect.
character. They're so perfectly circular. The dip of the glaze is so perfect. And when it's so perfect that when you pick it up, it's just all unbroken, right? So it's kind of like that perfection, like life's perfections, all the synchronicities, all the things that happen to us in life, just like how perfect it is. And you just see rows and rows and rows and rows of donuts, but it's all like rows and rows and rows of like people's lives, circumstances. So the donut to me, even though it would make you look like, what in the world, John and a donut, it was like, okay. But then that didn't really make sense once we changed the title to This Is Not a Ghost Story, which I
Mhm.
love that title as well and probably best. But then I was like, all right, well, let's do the door. Let's do a door because it has a lot of meaning, but then
Yeah.
over the ocean, right? The ocean of memories, which is like, because water holds a lot of memories. People don't really know that water can actually carry energy.
Mhm.
So, which is why it's important, like how we think about ourselves, the thoughts that we have about ourselves when we talk down on ourselves or when we lift ourselves up. Masaru Emoto is a like a scientist who did studies on water and molecules. I'm not sure if you're familiar with his work,
This
but
group takes notes.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. The book is called Hidden Messages in Water, and he showed how when you have different you put different water and turn it into ice, how if you have really pure water, the icicles are like geometrically, you look at like sacred geometry. I don't know if you can see the book over there, but like sacred geometry, how the world is so is created by design. So when you have polluted water, the ice that would form in the water from the water molecules, it would be like misshapen.
Perfect.
They were imperfect. But then when you would say they would get like shamans, or they would get monks or whomever, to just anyone to pray as a collective over, say, a sample of water, they were able to pray the water into more purity. Now, okay, I'm not saying they could take it and be like, hey, this no longer contains this, this, and this, but they could pray and actually improve the crystalline structure of the ice when it would form
Wow.
from the water. So he was talking about, like, just energy, like everything. I know it sounds so woo woo, but everything
Oh,
is
we
energy,
love some
right?
woo, and this book was
Take us
great
there.
Okay.
because
So, so
you want to follow how you sort of crafted this book and put it on paper.
that's kind of
Yeah.
like my worldview, is just knowing that everything is energy, knowing that everything around us is real, but like theoretically, I should be able to put my hand through this book because matter has so much space between it, like all the atoms. There's like so much distance between everything that there is nothing really solid. Like they say that you think you touch things, but your hands are never even really touching. It's
Mhm.
actually energy buffering against this because you actually never touch anything, actually. But I know I should have some glasses to be like,
No,
actually.
we love it. We love it. No, you can take this group woo woo. We will follow you
Okay,
there.
so
I
we'll,
know.
we'll go
Tana's
woo
like,
woo.
glasses ready. We are
Who am I
here.
kidding? I can't
It's
see.
One of the things though, so we have been reading this book like as a community together, like weekly, over the past like 6 weeks, and every week we'd come on, we'd chat about it, and it was the characters that kept coming up. I'm
Mm.
so curious, like who was John for you? What made
Mm.
you want to write John? Because we thought we liked him, then we're like, I don't think I like him, and
And
I
then he
don't like
redeemed
him,
himself.
but
And
yes,
especially
yes,
considering you were going to have him as your main character on
yes,
the front of the book. Um, let's start with John.
yeah.
Okay. Oh, and you know what? I'll give you that nutshell thing because you did ask me about the synopsis. So
Yes.
basically, it's about a black man who comes from the other side, who has to figure out what he's doing here. He wants nothing more than to go home, and because he has come from the other side, of course, people want to lift him up as someone special, a saint, something. But the thing about it is that he really hates people. He doesn't know why, but he does.
He's such a
And so it makes it kind of ironic that he would be the one to be the face of something. But then it's not surprising. I feel like that the irony is there, but remember when like in church when uh the pastor would talk about like, because when you change, everyone wants to still talk about what you used to do and how you used to be in the club. They don't want to let you just be where you
Yeah.
are now. They want to talk about who you used to be. And then they tell you about like how God will use examples and they use like the person you would least expect to be the one that's the example for everybody, right? So I was like, I wanted John to be someone who he really hates people. He's done some things which we find out later. We can get spoilery in a bit, but like he does some stuff later and you kind of like, oh, I don't know what kind of guy you were. But
Yeah.
he's the one that comes that everyone is looking at to be the example. And that's what happens sometimes, right? So I wanted
Yeah.
to play with
And
that.
he's a black man.
And
Like
he's a black man. So it's like,
going
how
back,
would that
the
change things?
resurrection.
yes. Yeah. I mean, though, let's talk about him because again, we had a wave of emotions as we got to experience John. How did you meet John? How did you find John as an author? Like, where did he come from? Is he inspired by anyone? Is he just so curious
John,
about that?
John is actually, see, the thing about it is that when you're an author, you put a little of yourself into all the characters, right?
Yeah.
But John's like curmudgeoniness
Mhm.
is actually me. It's actually really like how I used to be.
Hmm.
And because I was always like, oh man, humanity just can. I'm not surprised that God doesn't want to just blast it to smithereens. I was like, can't stand people. I was like, I love humanity, but also I detest it. And I was like, anytime I would watch like vampire movies, I was like, I haven't seen Sinners yet, by the way, but I'm really
What?
looking forward to it. But
We
I was
gotta.
like,
Mm,
vampires would hate. I mean, you can get tired of human beings. You see old people that can't stand
Absolutely.
people. They're like 80. You can't be
yes.
300 years and look old and still want to be hanging out with people. They just drive you crazy. So I was like, there's certain things about John that I felt like when I wrote him, I didn't plan it. I didn't plan the story. Unlike other stories, this story I just started, and I was like,
Mm.
I just know I want the premise, and I don't know anything else, and I'll just start out with the first thing I wrote in the story was actually like a little excerpt about regarding like the lights and how it was going through him and that kind of thing. So you could meet Hannah, you can kind of see who he was. And then I was like, who is he though?
Yeah.
And I realized I put a lot in like maybe my fears in there. I feel like I'm a very loving person, but my agent once told me like I noticed that all your stories, all the characters are loners. None of them want to love anyone and they're really afraid of it. And I was like,
Wow.
yeah, because that's kind of like me.
Wow.
But
Wow.
people wouldn't really know that because I'm so
Yeah.
bubbly. But
Wow.
actually, my biggest fear in life always was to love. It's kind of like why I waited so late to have a child. I didn't know if I even wanted to have children. I was like, I just saw love as an Achilles heel, basically. I was like, I'm good.
Mhm.
Nothing's going to throw me off emotionally like that can destroy me. So I already have a mom and a dad and a sister. Like, I mean, good God forbid anything happens to them. I feel like I would just die or something. I was like, I can't have too much of that floating around, walking around like being these bombs that can explode. So to
Yeah.
me, it was like you got to like not have that so you can actually live. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
didn't believe in the whole better to have loved and lost than not have loved at all. I was like,
And
I'd
John
rather take a little.
John is also fascinating because there were so many things. Someone was asking, like, why was he British? But also, like, he was an orphan, right?
Yes,
In
he
real,
was an.
it's kind of like, I guess, before death, after death, John, like in his life, he
Yeah.
was this orphan, didn't have anyone to love him. You kind of realized towards the end that he might have been doing something sketchy, we're not sure, but also the same type of person that could drive away from the scene of a crash and just be okay with it because he had to get his money or whatever.
Mhm.
But somehow through his merry band of people, like, I think towards the end he was redeemed a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think so, and it wasn't like a huge. I didn't make him turn into this whole Pollyanna thing because, of course, that's not who he is.
Yeah.
But I think he did come to see that there's value in having like the whole thing with found family. Until I wrote this book, I didn't even really believe in that because I was always like I know, no, I was like, no offense. When the book came out, I was doing some interviews. I was like, oh, I got to tell my friends, no offense to y'all. Don't get offended by what I say this. But I was always like, friends come and go. Fat blood is thicker than water, and that's who you can really
Mm-hmm.
count on. And that's it. I don't know about this found family stuff. I don't know about this found family business. See, I was curmudgeon, right? Then I realized, no, actually, you choose your family too,
Yes.
Yes, you do.
right?
Yeah.
And they were people he initially got because they were a means to an end.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
then he realized, aside from being connected to everyone, that, you go through life, we're here to help each other along the way. We
Mm-hmm.
may not know it how exactly, but every single connection, it's you don't know how you can influence somebody else's life and change the direction of their life, and then they can change the direction of someone else's life. I saw someone ask, why was he black?
Yeah.
I felt like that was like, if I just made him more, because I considered, like, do I want to make him like ethnically ambiguous or maybe like no one can really tell? But I was like, no, that's not strong enough. You need to make a strong decision one way or the other. Like, make a decision. And I
Mm-hmm.
felt like having him be a black man and having him be a dark skinned black man, so he's like undeniably black,
Mm-hmm.
was important because it would shape the way people see him. So he's like seen through various layers. It's not like this blank slate, which if he were more ethnically ambiguous, he could be. It was like you have to. He's used to, when he comes back, he's used to being seen as a ghost. So he's used to being seen, being aware of how he's appearing to everybody else in real time while he's talking to them. But he would already have that to a certain extent by living life as a black man. That would be like coded in, even if he can't remember everything he did, which is why he kind of recognized the layers when he came back and was interacting with people again.
Mm-hmm. Mm. You
Yeah.
introduced a lot of additional themes by making him a dark-skinned black ghost, I would
Mm-hmm.
say, or presence. And you were able to tease out race in these subtle ways throughout the book. You have, a white presenting, light-skinned, black woman who's like almost scared to embrace her identity. What was there an intentionality of centering race and wanting to ignite some specific conversations in doing so with some of these decisions that you made?
I think that just came kind of like with the story as it was unfolding
Mm,
because Persephone, I wasn't really thinking about her ethnicity or her race or anything like that for a long time. But I was like, there's something about her that's a secret. And wasn't really sure. And then I met her brother, and I was like, there's more to it than that. Why is she here? Why is she's got some stuff she's carrying with her in I'll get to the name of Persephone, um, from her past. And I can't remember what the specific thing was. I think maybe when I was thinking about John, when I
mhm.
was thinking about them in like Black Love, because obviously, it's like that would come
Ab-
up. Who he's dating,
Yes.
who's to be his
and you
fake
wrote that
girlfriend.
perfectly.
That,
Absolutely.
oh, thank you.
Yeah, that was
No, it
fun.
was it was really because it would come up like, yes, people would jump on that and they just wanted more to sort of take from them of like, yes,
Yes.
black love story and this makes sense and he is, the returner.
And
But
then he comes back with Persephone. She's like, she's blonde. It's like, hold on,
Yes.
that would be
we
me.
talked a lot about Persephone and that subtle, and even just how you brought in William, that subtle choice of her being like,
Mhm.
well, I've never been like, what were the words we used? We were like black passing, black,
Yeah.
white passing,
Mhm.
I didn't feel like I was qualified enough to stand up and have the black experience. And I thought that was a really, we hadn't seen that sort of read in a book. You know, you see the Rachel Dolezal, which was the far extreme. So it was really interesting that you brought that in too, in contrast to John.
How did y'all feel about that, by the way? I always had mixed feelings about Rachel. Honestly, I don't know. I don't even know what the popular opinion is. It's been so long, I can't remember.
Well, we definitely brought it up because we were like, what is she doing? Not you. We were like, what is Persephone doing?
Yeah.
And, you know,
Why
you
wouldn't
felt
she
like,
want to claim this? Like,
yeah,
why
felt
is
like
she
She
scared
looks
of?
kind of like, who's the singer? There's a singer. Uh, uh, she's black, but
Oh, with the blonde.
she's the singer, short hair.
Leona
You know,
Lewis? No.
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 Her brother actually looks more mixed, but she looks like, she did the song with BTS. Her
I think
name.
This is a
Maria's
trivia game,
sunglass.
y'all.
Somebody Google it. Google BTS.
She will come to us.
Fighting love. Ah, yeah, 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 yeah. Da, 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 da.
Somebody look it
Someone
Uh,
up.
Google it.
This one.
It's BTS, and it's called like "A Boy in Love" is the name of the song. And the artist, I didn't know she was black actually. I don't think anyone did. She's super white presenting,
Hmm.
especially when her hair is not dark. Did anybody Google it?
Can
I'm
I
like,
find this? I'm afraid to look.
was
oh
it
yeah, 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 oh yeah, yeah. Just
Melanie?
the fighting
Something?
BTS is
No.
the K-pop group, the boy
I
group, right?
love it.
Yeah.
BTS, and it's called
Halsey?
Halsey.
Halsey.
Yes,
Yeah.
There we
yes. See,
go.
she's
See
like
y'all.
that's Persephone is
Yes.
like that.
Thank you,
So
Heidi. Yes.
Persephone, and so Halsey, I think, spoke about this, and I didn't discover this until years after I already wrote the story. Um, but I saw Halsey, she was talking about it a little bit, and when Halsey, when you look at her again, you can tell I'm one of those people that could have been on the passing
Everybody's
police because I can
surprised.
spot her. I can spot. I don't care. Like if you look super white, I'm gonna look. I'm gonna like
There's
something
something.
there's
Your
something that
nose
peaches
is
and
a
cream and
little.
Wow.
salt, the
Everybody's
Yeah.
roundness.
surprised.
But with her, I didn't. But if you now that I told you, you probably can kind of probably be like, okay, I can see that,
Yeah.
especially if her hair is dark. But
Mhm.
her brother, she took pictures with her brother, and her brother actually looks kind of like black and white, like biracial. But he's
Mm-hmm.
still almost as light as her. But there's something about him that still looks more mixed. But
Yeah.
for her, she's super. I mean, I can see how she might want to be like, I didn't, unless depending on how she grew up, she might not be like
Right.
the black experience this, the black experience that, if she
Yeah.
didn't grow up like that. But Persephone kind of did.
She did. At first, I was annoyed with her, though. And this
Hmm.
was a hot topic of conversation. Why would you want to discount this beautiful gift that it is to be a Black woman? And then the conversation leans into, well, are we even like open enough as Black people to not diminish her for being, white presenting in all of these spaces? And the colorism elements kind of creep in. So it is like, I think to the point of we love books because they start conversation. It starts a conversation like, as Black people, as a Black community, are we still too attached to color within, our own community and space? And how does that help or hurt someone? Why was she scared to embrace that part of her identity? Are we not actually accommodating enough as a Black community to like
Like one
celebrate?
drop rule.
Yes. Yeah. Are
I
we
mean,
like
honestly,
still
I
there?
feel like the Black community is very accommodating. I have to say, when it comes to like, at least I can speak for more Americans. I can't speak for everyone in the diaspora, but I feel like my experience, and I, as a biracial person, but I'm brown skinned. I'm not like super super brown, but I don't. Am I light skinned? I don't consider myself to be particularly light skinned. I feel like I'm kind of like in the middle,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? Um, so maybe my experience might be a little different from, say, a friend of mine who's biracial. She was black and white, and she is really really light skinned,
Yeah.
right? But I feel
Yeah.
like the Black community is pretty accommodating. It's kind of like if you're black, you're black, and if you even if you're really super, like you look like the rapper Logic, and you want to be like, yeah, I'm black. I feel like maybe you might get teased a little when you're growing up, like you're not fitting in. But for the most part, because kids will tease about anything, we're pretty accommodating.
Mm.
If you might like that, if you're
I
black
would
or
say
part
both.
black, you're black.
It
I
goes
will say
both.
it's a
Oh
mix
yeah, what
of
was
both. I think we're getting better, but
okay?
because I definitely, I was on a crazy show called Housewives, and literally I had half the people being like, oh my gosh, thank you. And half the people be like, literally, people would be like, she sounds whitewashed. And I'd be like, this is
Mm,
2018. Are we still saying that? And they'd be like, oh,
yeah,
she grew up in Canada, so it's different, or she's this. So
I
I
get it.
hear
Yeah.
both. But I think with Persephone in particular, you summed it up very well, where she felt like, because I can air either way, I didn't feel fully, and I might be getting this wrong, guys. You guys can tell me. I didn't feel like, and she sort of took the step to the left, being like, I didn't feel like I could claim it when I could go either way. And I'd never thought about that, about having to like pull back on something, because her mom was Black. Her white daddy ran away. But I want to make sure, because we got to keep you to time. We got a lot of stuff.
Okay.
Someone did ask about Persephone, because we had a conversation about Persephone being, with Greek mythology. And did that tie in, or was it just a beautiful name that you loved?
That's the universe. I want to be like, yeah. Well, I am a big believer. It goes with the woo stuff. I'm a big believer that whenever we create anything, if we're can you hear me, Tanya? Because you're frozen.
Yeah, I froze. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, that was a frozen
there
moment.
we go. I believe that I believe as creators, and I was talking to another artist about this too. As creators, as much as I'm like, okay, yeah, we create this and I'm thinking about this. Yes, I'm thinking about all these things. These are turning over my mind. I don't believe that these things are ours. I don't believe that these ideas are ours. Like, I wrote this book, yes. But it existed already before I was able to kind of like put it into the world, right? I believe that everything that will be and ever was and is exists in the now. And for really what we do is we pull from consciousness. We're just on a frequency, and that's what creates things. That said, there are things that I won't be conscious of, but it's all coming through the universe because it all makes sense. So Persephone's name someone says the vessel. We're artists, we're vessels. Actually, all people, when we do things, we create. We all are creators in some way, whether they're cooking or whatever it is that we're doing. We're vessels, really, and things flow through us. So if you look at it that way, it's not that I'm conscious of this, I'm conscious of that. Some things could be in my subconscious. Other things can be completely the universe giving it to me and knowing the pieces, and I'm just funneling it through and I'm putting it together. Because when I looked at it and I was like, oh, look at Persephone and mythology and her name, Corpus Christi, similar, the resurrection, the Christ figure. That you look at John also his name, right? So you look at everything and it all works together, and not because I consciously made it so, but because it was supposed to be that way and given to me that way. You know what I mean?
Okay, so let's dive into something else, because that will lead me to this question. This idea, so we get who John is to you. We understand Persephone. I want to come back and talk about so much more, but let's get to the big concept of...
I'm sorry for my long answers. I'm going to try
No,
to
we love it. I just don't want you to be... I want to try and keep you here not for too long. We're going to be here, but the gray man, the gray house, and the ocean of memories. And then we'll get into Annabelle and Mabel, and we will have some questions about Ruben. I'm sure everyone has some other questions.
Everyone loves Ruben.
As we were, he was our favorite.
He was our heart. We were like, I love you.
As we were going through, a lot of us were like, what is the gray man? Who is he? Is he good? Is he bad? It took us like to get the gray man in the gray house. It took us to the end to and our brains were sort of blown, and we were like, okay. But can you sort of encapsulate your feelings on how we should feel about the gray man and the gray house and what those represented? Maybe to John, maybe to the story.
First of all, I'm glad that it had you feeling like that, because I was like, is this too telegraphed? I need to conceal it more. And then so that's good. And also, it's not like how you should feel about the story, because really, I believe once a writer writes something, it's like in our heads or in the atmosphere and in the ether, and then it comes through us, we write it, and then after that it's yours, because it's just 50% of it. This is 50%. The other 50% is whatever you feel and how you attach your experiences and how you view it. So there's no wrong way to view any of it, right? But for me, the gray man is like the gray man and the gray house, and that whole idea of no man is an island. But John tried to create himself as being on an island. And so when he goes into the other side, which is not necessarily all the way to the other side, but it's some other place, he creates that for himself, a solace. He creates an island for himself, but no one is an island, right? The ocean of memories is something that, in my view, exists. It is something that exists, which is why Mabel heard of it a long time ago when she was in Kemet. but the house that everyone has, if they find themselves on that ocean, and not everyone does, that whatever they create, that's for themselves. So the gray house was John's creation. That was a, kind of like a pseudo other side of where he grew up. It was where
The
he
orphanage, right?
this is the
His,
orphanage, what
yeah.
he disliked, but also was his only safe place because it was a lot safer than like it was a less cold than the world that he went
Mhm.
out into later. But the ocean of memories is, everyone has to pass through that because everything that ever was is in that ocean. So there were little Easter eggs. I put the Titanic in there. I put some of these mammoths, like bits of mammoth structures in there, dinosaur bones in there, and then it's all like submerged in order. And the very beginning of the story, that is some of the debris from the airplane wreckage that he's seeing bumped against the house because that's some of the stuff that relates to him.
Oh, those were breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
Yeah, little breadcrumbs. The thing is, I didn't actually know how John died until I got to the part where I was writing it. I was
Oh,
always wondering, like, how did he die? I don't know. Like, I don't know how he
really?
died. And when I wrote the part, when I got to the part where it's like real time and we go into present tense and
Mhm.
a Pontiac is going down the street, McDonald's, and the girls in the back seat, and I'm writing it and writing it, I'm seeing it, and I'm like, oh, this is how I knew something happened, but I didn't know what
Yeah.
was the nature of the accident until I wrote it. And then I'm like, oh, he's taken off, and then I see it, and I did not know that John died in an airplane crash. So he was in the plane, and I feel the words coming out, and it was like, and
Wow.
he's still sleeping when the plane dives into the ocean. I was like, I was like, that's how he
This is
died.
it.
Oh my gosh, it makes sense. I was like, it makes sense because again, I'm feeling like I'm discovering it because the universe is giving it to me. So I'm like,
Oh,
what?
wow.
Like that's how he died, and that's why that debris was in the beginning. Except I didn't
You
have
wrote the debris before you even got
the
to.
debris. Yeah, I wrote the debris in real time as I was going through the story,
What about the
Interesting.
French
but
fries?
not every single bit. So there was I think a crushed red
Yeah.
hood or
Yeah.
so, part of the car. There were other bits of debris, but the very specific, like the airplane cart, and
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
those things I came back into
Okay.
because
Okay.
after that I knew, and I was like, oh, but some of that
I
debris was
need to.
already there.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I was like, oh, that's what it is, and that's why he died in the plane. I get it, I get it, I get it. And I was like, well, let me just add a couple more very
Mhm.
specific items. But that was like a big discovery for me. Um, that's why I say these things like don't belong to us. The same with music when people are like, "You create that, and you did this, and that person created this sound and this sound." It's like, listen, we are all vessels. It is not mine. It's really God's. Really, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So we are just the vessels. We don't. None of these things are our own.
I have two
100%.
questions on that. One, what about the French fries? And two, as someone who's able to write like this, how have you been able and create as an artist? How have you been able to tune in and tap into those downloads so that you can get it out more? Is there
Uh,
something that helps you, you know,
the
flow
French.
or receive?
Well, the French fries came because they're really good,
You had
and
everyone going to McDonald's that night. I'm not even kidding. Everyone's like,
I love
French
French
fries it is.
they're
Like,
really good. They taste really good. And to me, there's something that tastes so good. It's kind of like what would be, when they're strong. To me, they're strong enough to make it to the other side. If you kind of
yeah,
like thinking about the things you really liked,
the
there's
things to
certain things
remember.
that are going to really be super strong. And I felt like that was strong. So the French fries were tasty, but I didn't know how they played into the role until he later because he was staring at the things. He
Mhm.
didn't. He didn't feel good when he was looking at
Yeah.
it. Then he was looking at everybody in the room, and then he was kind of like not totally sickened by it, but something about it wasn't right. I didn't know why though until later. So that was like, oh, the accident because that's what he was eating. So it's just kind of like the guilt, the thing that's always there, and that's why the gray man was there too. The gray man, like I believe that when we come into this life, right?
Mhm.
Um, we don't really need to judge anybody else. It's not really good to hold anger to people who even like do us wrong
Mhm.
because I really believe that they're not really doing you wrong, even if it's something that's not right.
Mhm.
Because that thing that they're doing you wrong is the lesson that you were meant to learn. So when someone's doing something to you that you feel like is harmful or bad or however it is, they're just providing the lesson for you. They're your teacher. And
Yeah.
so someone was using an example like an alcoholic parent. I was reading this spiritual book and they were talking about, even if you have like a parent that was really a horrible parent. They're an alcoholic. And even in that sense, you might have to forgive them later. But really, they were there to provide the lesson. And then in the before lives, because I believe in reincarnation and I believe that we choose our lives, we choose our group. There had to be a thing where it's like, hey, I need to learn something down there. And I need to learn like how to forgive. And I need to kind of go through some hard things because it's going to need to push me as I move in my life to get me to where I'm trying to go for this incarnation, right? And maybe the other person says, I need to learn self forgiveness. And so I'm going to go ahead and do this thing and I'll be like an alcoholic. You can be my child. That's going to be really tough. It is really, and you can, one way on an earthly level, you can look at it like, man, that parent just messed up. How did it? But you know what? It takes a lot of bravery and courage to be that parent on this earth because everyone hates you and you hate yourself.
Yeah.
And you're providing yourself the lesson and you're giving the child the lesson. But somehow those things that come together, you need those things to learn in this life. And so I think if you look at it like I'm angry at this person and they did me wrong, it's like they're giving you the lesson. And for that, you should be thankful. And I wish that they can be on their path to like what they're supposed to do because they've given you what you need to go where you're supposed to go.
I have
When
a
you look
question.
at life like that, it will shift the way you look at everything around you, at all the people around you. I promise. It will make you look at everything that you encounter in a completely different way.
Hi, Chelsea.
Hi,
Hi,
Chelsea.
hi. My name is Chelsea. Thanks for writing this book and taking the time to meet with all of us.
Thank you.
Yeah. While we're on the topic, I kind of we're trying to understand you better and like how you wrote. Do you believe, like this is like on a spiritual level, do you believe that we can change the future or is everything's already written like a book, like for us? Like you say all things are connected with the donut. Um, because it sounds like you said the parent who like was an alcoholic, it sounds like they didn't even have control over being the alcoholic. You were supposed to be someone's lesson, so that behavior happened. So what are your thoughts on that?
I thought a lot about this actually, and I think some people believe in things like different timelines. I tend to think that there are certain things we choose. There's certain things that I actually feel like I've encountered like certain claircognizance. So there's certain things that happen in my life that I knew are going to happen or that will happen, but I don't get it all the time. But I feel like with the alcoholic example, that would be a situation where, in my view, that person already agreed to be that. Now, what they did, like I'm gonna have a child. I'm going to be dealing with some kind of substance abuse. I'll be maybe an alcoholic. Those are the things that I'm signposting, and then those are going to be my tent poles that I know I need to become who I need to become in this life and also to provide them the lesson. Now, there can be all kinds of things that happen in between, but those are the things that I need. It's kind of like when I sign up. You go to summer camp, you send your child to basketball camp, or you sign up yourself to art class or pottery. You sign yourself up for that class, you're going to be doing some pottery. Now, what kind of pottery you're going to make, how good it's going to be, how quick you can do it, to be determined. But you're in there to work with some pottery, right? To work with some clay. So I think when it comes to life, there are certain things that happen. And that's when we get this either as deja vu, or we can tell when we're aligned with our purpose, or we feel like, man, it's like I said I wanted to do this thing, and it's just like everything's falling into place. I got the phone call, this, it's just like happening. And that's because somehow you're aligned to that thing. I do believe we have free will, but I also believe that if you like be still, whether you want to ask the Holy Spirit or whether you're calling, to God and you're asking God for those answers, or you're just calling for greater, greater consciousness or the universe or the Akashic records, whatever is you feel tapped into. I feel if you're still enough, you can probably know what's going to happen already. Now, we were talking about free will before with one of my friends, and they were like, so you're just saying there's no free will? I'm like, no, I'm not saying there's no free will, but what I'm saying is God already knows what you're going to do. So it's kind of like you got all the free will in the world, but God's just sitting there like, at the end of the day, I do know what you're going to pick at the end of the day. You can choose whatever you want. I just know what it is, or greater consciousness, right? Now, if you can tap into that, then you'll also know too what you're going to end up picking.
Now you
Because
sound
God will
like
tell
a
you.
clairvoyant. I'm like, this is the
But see,
Tanya
this is the
knows.
way I
I'm like,
live all
girl,
the
we be
time.
talking.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when Tanya, you were saying like, how do you tap in and when you're going to write? It's because I actually don't do that. I don't have a specific thing because I literally live like this all day. Like, we're going to the studio once and we are going to eat. It was taking so long. I was in Miami to record some stuff for this record. And, we got the session and it's about to be, breakfast time. We got the sandwich. They were taking so long to make my sandwich. It's okay, cool. Because it's meant to be that way. Somehow it's whatever's happening with the delay is the delay. That's just what it is. So then by the time I got my food, it was too late. I was going to be too late for the session. So everybody else got their food. And my girlfriend was like, oh my gosh, I feel so bad. I was like, we got to go. And I got maybe only a sausage and I didn't even get most of my food. And she was like, I feel so bad because you're the only one who didn't eat. And actually, out of everybody, you need to eat before your session. Then we walked outside. And I don't know how it happened, but like the sausage fell, it fell on the ground. And it was like, so then I didn't have any breakfast. She was like, oh no. I said, it's okay. It wasn't meant for me. I
Yeah.
wasn't meant to eat the sausage. That's not for me. So you throw it away, no problem. Everything that happens is because it's meant.
And go with it. I
Go with it.
understand that. And it's probably taken me much later in life to get that idea that like, it's okay. Like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be,
You're
even
exactly where you're supposed to be. I was
right.
like, look, waited a long time for that delay. What if that delay made it so when we were driving to the thing, we missed a car accident
Yeah.
or something happened, or we walked in at some point that delay made it so later on today or tomorrow, or whenever, we're gonna bump into the person at the right time, whoever we're supposed to bump it. I don't know what it is. God knows.
Hey Marie,
Yeah.
question for you. Sorry. Okay, Annabelle and Mabel, this like voice that you sort of weave through the book, and there's I mean, I think some of us here read the Audible, listened to the Audible, and so it's a very distinct voice that comes through. Some of us were just reading, but I thought she was sort of this oracle. But also I have so many questions about her because I was like, is she omnipotent? Is she omnipotent? Was she and John in a love relationship? How was it there was only one of her, but there's a bunch of different references on different pages. So I'm going to be quiet and let you answer that question as best you would like to.
No, that's interesting. I never thought about the love one. That's
Because she
interesting.
loved him. She was waiting for him, right? And she was like, at
Yes.
one point, she was like, in thousands upon thousands of years, John was the closest to being like me.
Yes.
And so it really made us go, okay, so was John literally the first that anyone had ever seen come back? Or maybe, we just didn't know, but this sort of proved it. Yeah.
Yeah, for John is the first person that people could just say undeniably everyone sees. It's not like weird things. It doesn't sound like it's toilet flush. It's not a flash in the screen or an orb floating around. He is literally like someone everyone can undeniably say exists, right? For Mabel, she exists, but she exists outside of time because she was never born. And so like at the very beginning when I explain like the flash, the sound and everything is kind of like the birth of the universe. And that's kind of how she's there for all of it. So she doesn't really know who she is. And I don't even know all the answers for Mabel either. And I didn't when I write, I don't really write to give answers. I write to provide more questions so you can come to your own conclusions about anything.
We got that. Lots of questions. So
But in the time,
yeah.
because before when I was saying about like time, like even how we understand time and like space time, we think about it linearly, but time doesn't really exist like that. Everything is in the now, and science, and you look at like quantum theory and stuff is starting to really point to that, how there's like quantum entanglement, and you look at like space time and you look at just everything. That's why she was able to say she was in that ocean of memories. She saw a house that the style of which would not have existed back then anyway, but she sees in the window John, right? But she knows him. She remembers someone that she hasn't met yet, which I think some people might almost have that feeling when they meet someone that feels so familiar to them, right?
Very real.
That kind of feeling. I think it's because it's maybe a soul memory or some mysterious thing that exists. Because time doesn't really exist. I mean, if you want to really look at like traveling at the speed of light, doing things. You can technically go backward. I don't know if you could like interact with time, but there's so much that we learn about the universe that's different. Like it's different from what we learned when we were kids. Like it's
Yeah.
still it amazes me when we think about gravity. Like when we learned about gravity as a kid, it's like, oh, I have like an apple and you drop the apple and it's like mass that creates it to fall, right? But then when I was teaching my son about gravity, like now, I was like, it's not a force by itself. I said, it is a bend in space time. And I was explaining to this when he was like 3. I was like,
Like,
I was like, you have
and
to
he gets it. He
understand.
fully got
I
it.
was like, look at the bed. I'm gonna put the ball, it was like something really heavy. I said, I'm gonna put it on the bed. And like the bed was like this when I put it on there. I said, now if you put a marble on here, let's put the marble on there. We put the little marble and it started going like this. I said, gravity is not a force pulling that down. It's a bend in the blanket.
Mm.
It's a bend in space time. So the things that we think about that are science fiction or things that we didn't understand, those, like the reason why I even got into quantum physics in the first place was because I felt like I had this theory that if we could find the intersection of science and spirituality, then we would find the truth. I was like, the truth is in the intersection of science and spirituality. That's quantum physics. It's all the things that we haven't figured out. It's like the hardwiring of the universe. Then we'll understand more about all that.
We have some questions popping in.
Okay,
You got
let's get
people
to
with
the.
that. We got people with that. The
I was
Gray
too.
Man is coming up again.
Okay, the Gray Man.
Who was the Gray Man? The Gray Man was the Gray Man a bend, as we're describing the bends. Is that, the
The
universe?
Gray Man is John's, is an incarnation of John's. And you could, now when I say this, if the gray man is someone else for you, that is real and that is valid too. So don't let me take away so I'm not going to say the gray man is. Let me say I wrote the gray man as, and then because you're the other half of the understanding of the gray man, right? So when I was writing the gray man, I was perceiving the gray man as being the incarnate of John's guilt. Because some people believe there's like no hell and stuff. I told my parents I don't believe in hell in that way. I believe that a spirit, we go to the other side. We have to deal with our own conscience. Look, listen, no one is going to be harder on you than you. That's just something I think everyone understands. So on a spiritual front, so many of the things that we do in this lifetime, I think it's a lot to deal with on our own. You're not going to really need someone else to be berating you on that other side. Now, maybe there's some things that you'll have to see. Either way it goes, the guilt that we carry, all of that like negativity, I just made him incarnate. And really what you have to do is it can look really scary and it can look really solid. But when you face your fear, when you face your doubt, when you face the things you hate about yourself, the things that you feel guilty about, and you walk into it, you like walk forward, you will see that there's nothing there.
So is that why Persephone was able to protect him? She was ultimately represented forgiveness. She represented, like your past is not going
The
to
redemption.
your redemption. Okay, that was Morgan. I hope that answers your question. Dara is like, I'm ready. I'm ready. Tap me in.
Come
Go
on up,
ahead.
Dara. Where are you?
I'm
Where are you?
here. I'm so ready. First of all, I'm a huge fan. I truly do love you. And I'm so nervous right now. But your idea of time and how you define time and how you look at time, I feel like probably ties into the missing and skipped numbers of the chapters. And I was wondering if you could really probably explain like the symbolic meaning of the missing and skipped numbers based on how you view time. I don't know if that was like a representation of a gap in memory or hidden truths or suppressed events in the story. And so I would love to hear.
Are you talking about the like Mabel's POV chapters and how they weren't numbers? Because I'm like, wait, hold on, did something print wrong? Because I'm like, I don't remember nothing about
No,
those
your
numbers.
chapters were
Yeah,
not,
those were just titles.
but even some of them would be like for continued or this. So like it was very hard to align the chapters.
Oh, okay. Wait, hold on. Wait, let me think. Wait, what page is that? Hold on a second. I wrote this book so many times. I got to remember how I want. I reformatted it a lot too.
So we go.
Wait,
Oh, like
Tanya, it's
4,
also
and then
slightly different in our first version than this one. I compared because I was in, yeah.
oh,
So
okay.
we had an
Because I was
art
like,
too.
you know what? I could be like, I'm so smart. Yeah, you know, it's kind of like symbolizing the breaking time. And I'm like, hold on, I think I might
We
have been
talked
typoing.
about that a lot.
Because it should be like the chapter, like four, like numbers, and then there's scenes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 6, chapter 6, which just said 6, and then numbers, like numerically, those are like scenes within the chapter. If that's what you mean, but if you mean like skip numbers and such, I'm like, I don't recall that. That might have been a typo
I'm
because it
looking
shouldn't.
now
Yeah, look through. I'm like, hold
because
on.
it
I
was
would love to sound
definitely
No, I
something
think
extremely
that
it's
like,
this one. So I think 180, 81, 81, where it's like a call out, like to something different. The moment John left this world, I felt the way cold air knocks the breath out of you. But even
oh,
that
wait, is it
moment,
page
I felt this
281?
tiny ember. 181.
181.
hmm It was like an
Oh,
interesting, yeah, like there's
mhm.
these interesting kind of call outs that
Oh,
disrupt
yeah.
the timeline a bit, and
Yes. So those that don't have numbers and those have titles, and we even chose different font, different typeface for that because
yes.
this is Mabel. So Mabel exists outside of time. So I didn't want to put
hmm
numbers on her. I wanted them to just be like, but it couldn't just be like with no title because then that might be confusing for the reader. And I was like, there's something very poetic about her, because of course she's existed forever. So I imagine her as being a very like she's seen a lot. So there's going to be a lot of poetry to her motion, to her thoughts, and so I wanted her to have titles, different typeface, so her parts do stand out. Like if you look at the font, it's not the same as his. It's very subtle, but the font on all her parts are different from the entire book because she is something else entirely and she exists outside of the timeline. So yes, that was intentional for her because I
I
wanted to
love
give little
that.
peeks. And
Dara. I
even she is
love
even someone who has questions, but she can't get them. And that's why she was saying she needed him as much. He didn't realize how much she needed him because she's gonna feel so alone in the world. Someone said it was very confusing. Oh, so sorry. I know. I think someone was saying, did we want to put some numbers? But I felt like that was even more confusing. So we saw the numbers. I was like, we got to make it just put a title in there because there's no titles in the book. Like the chapters are not titled, the scenes are not. I was like, but her moments have to be on their own page with like a title and underline it or something like that. But I could see how it might be. Well, she did have her parts voiced differently, but then also you had moments in real time with like John's
Where
memories.
she's exactly, I mean, she's in conversation too, like in the present.
Yeah,
And then we see this like almost ethereal passage that pops out. And
yeah.
it was like, whose voice is this
Oh, it
now?
felt
Like,
like she was
where is it
speaking from the
coming
heavens.
from?
That's
Yeah.
yeah, that's like Mabel as she is outside of time. Because even when we see the way she's interacting with John, it's very much now, right? But she's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands. She's here with the birth of the universe, pretty much. As long as there's a planet, because she also existed in a void. So her
hmm
consciousness existed in a void before there was anything. So that's actually her true voice. And when you meet her with John, that's why he was like, "Oh, where's your southern accent?" She knows. It's almost like code switching. She knows how to switch with whatever because she's existed through time with so many different people. But that is her true self, like how we all have a
Right.
higher self.
Yeah.
But this is our voice
That
now.
was her actual voice. This is her. She's just
That's
like,
her
I'm here with
actual
you,
voice.
humans. Let me bring it
And
down.
it's still a little tailored through to who she is now, but it is more of a higher self, spiritual kind of like bird's eye view voice. It is that.
Amerie, can we squeak like 10 more minutes out of you? And
Yes.
rapid fire some
Okay.
more questions.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
One thing I think everybody wanted to know, like there's this interconnectedness, and we know that John had to come back and sort of right this wrong of the car crash that he fled the scene and ruined Persephone's life, right? But there were also some other really interesting secondary characters,
Yeah.
namely Ruben, which we loved.
I love Reuben.
And we had a couple questions because Ruben also mentioned his mother and the grandmother. So, in your
Mm-hmm.
mind, where's the mother and the grandmother? What's going on there? That's one
And the
question.
connection to Hannah. And what's their connection
Yes.
to Hannah, the family's connection? Because that just seems, the LAs of it all, this random dude just happens
Psychic.
to know this
Yes.
high power publicist and like, break down Ruben for us.
So Reuben in a kind of in a YA fashion, when you're writing like teenagers, because he's a teenager, but he's still of age, you got to kind of like get story wise, narrative wise, you got to get rid of the parents. You got to like take them somewhere. And so I was like, all right, they'll go to DR. He's old enough to do it by himself. But that happens too sometimes when people's parents. It was like lightly touching on what I've seen when you have family that's in another country. We experienced that, but is a little different because our family kind of was a little isolated because the military thing. But I know so many people who they have family elsewhere and they kind of like visit, but they're kind of distant. But that's it was 50% of that and 50% of me being like, I need Ruben on his own because I really need to see who he is and why he would be able to like fall in with John and be so close to him and all of that, and why he would take on the divination on his own, which is, he doesn't really totally know what he's doing. Now his family, his mom is someone like who people do like in LA, people do see people a lot and they'll usually like have a
One of them.
person, I didn't really realize that, but there's a lot of people that go to people. Honestly, people would be really amazed to know how many people actually go to people. I was actually very surprised when I first like paid attention to that, probably like 10 years ago, and I was like, oh wow, people. I think I was looking at Us Weekly one time, and if someone going to someone's house, and they're like, oh, that's the person she goes to. And I was like, oh, okay, and that was
That's
one.
where it went.
And then I kept hearing about it, and I was like, wait, this must be a lot of people doing stuff in
And
LA.
the funny part was like making
I know
big
that.
decisions. Like he was this studio exec guy.
Yes. So he would go and see Ruben's mom for like important things, you know what I mean? Because he's in the
yes. Okay.
yeah, so he goes to see her, and that actually is really true to life too. People really do have their people that they go to, and so Hannah didn't really understand what exactly that was. You know what I mean? So because the way I had it in my mind was that they didn't really have the sign out there like that. That was something that Ruben did because he was trying to get business over. It's like a little bit more discreet with his mom, because she's someone that would dealt with a lot of different high powered people, et cetera, et cetera. So Hannah didn't know, and this is also a long time ago. So Hannah was thinking that her husband was going to see someone like messing around because when Ruben's aunt was there, like his younger aunt, and so Hannah was just like assuming her husband's having an affair, not knowing that this is like someone that he goes to see, that Ruben's mother that he goes to see for like advice. And that's not something that he would necessarily talk to someone like Hannah about because Hannah, that would be so antithetical to her. Spiritual advice, yes, spiritual advice, doing like readings for him and stuff like that. So that's not something that he would really share with someone like Hannah. And he also had a lot. He was very outside, so it wasn't really far fetched to think that this is something that he would be doing. So that was the connection there.
Okay, let's go.
Who did Hannah? Her husband sleep with? Who slept with Hannah's husband?
No one was sleep. Well, there's a lot of people sleeping with Hannah's husband because he had, but that didn't have anything to do with Ruben's family.
She was just confused. She thought, well,
she was just like, who is that? Who is over there? Because he was a big cheater. You know what I mean? So she was thinking this was yet another someone else, but it's very mysterious because the lady never takes her out. She's just always in there. She just don't really demand much, I guess. So it's like he didn't know. Yeah, she didn't know who it was, but that was the connection. Was really Ruben's mother was his spiritual advisor.
Let's talk about Corpus Christi. It's taking me weeks to even say that right. It's the Krispy Kreme thing. It's like
Krispy Kreme.
I know they're laughing,
right?
But it does. Yeah.
But okay, wild stuff happened there. And folks were asking, I know Style and Savings, Morgan was asking, we're introduced to the mother and the brother, and the brother is, I
love him though. I just love him.
What idiots.
We did not love him. I can't speak for everyone. I was
you. Did y'all love the brother? Please tell me in this chat because I was like,
so cute.
You just kept
give us a heart
up.
If you loved him. Give us a
heart. He was allergic to making the right decision.
Yes.
That part. Yes, Chelsea.
So
that
did
part.
not love. Yeah, he really, it's just someone who just keeps getting himself deeper and deeper in it. I view him as, even if he didn't take the fall for Persephone, Parker would have just found himself another way to just be in trouble.
Mama was right.
That's what his mama said. She was like, he needed a lot more. He needed a lot more. But when they were growing up, he was the elder. He was the boy. So his dad is gone. He's the elder sibling. He's not the one with the big major talent. I mean, he was great at football, but he wasn't like Persephone. He didn't have that talent. And so he had his other, I didn't get a chance to really explore a lot with him. Someone mentioned it should be a film. We, I guess, like, wait, should I say? I can't say yet, but
Okay.
I can't say who yet. But I can say we are in talks with a great company regarding adapting this for television show, whether it's
Yeah,
streaming or
that's
whatever, but
exciting.
a series. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
limited
Is Stephen
series.
Curry Parker
I'm sorry.
Chelsea?
in this series? Is Stephen Curry Parker?
You
Oh,
know,
this
he
is our
really
favorite question.
he
Please
Yeah.
he
tell us
really
who you
could be
envision.
someone like Logic could be Stephen Curry. I always say now. I always say his name wrong because I always want to say Stephon Curry. I don't think I'm saying it right. Is it Stephen?
Stefan. It's
I think it's
Stefan.
Stephen Curry. Yeah.
Because I used to say Steven.
Hey, there's
He'd
so many
probably
ways.
answer. He'd be like, yeah, all right, it's
All
cool.
right.
He totally could. Who would play John? I know somebody said, please make sure that he's a black man. I was like, well, of course. And
Well,
he's
he's
got
a
to be
black man.
dark skinned. They were like, make sure he's the right age. I was like, I'm open. I think it's just going to be whoever can translate him the best. But obviously he's going to be a black man. And I think it's important that if he's not like really dark skinned, he's pretty dark skinned or at least deeply brown skinned so we can
Yeah.
maintain
What
that
about
vibe.
Stephanie? Because I think we had a conversation about the idea of who, because she can pass, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do you give her I don't know, who plays somebody that
We need
passes?
to call
We always see
Halsey.
it
Be
as
like,
like,
Halsey, do you act?
is
I've
someone
got,
someone
yeah.
like Halsey, but she doesn't even have to. I mean, because I would say that if it's a great actress who, and mind you, I was like, I'm not going to show run this. I want to be executive producer so I can make sure we're good to go, but I don't want to show run it because
yeah.
I want to write many other stories and I got some albums put out. I said, but um, if someone was really really awesome, like a young Rashida Jones, yeah, even if she looks like, oh, she's black though, then I think that some things could be turned or slightly adjusted where it's like, okay, she does it that part where she doesn't code black at all and she's completely coding white. I think that would limit a lot of the actresses, that depending on who could do it, who's great for the part, who's available for the part. So I think that slight adjustments can be made as long as they're fairly like light skinned so that part can still be in
I want
there
it
a
to be
little
a
bit.
shocker.
Yeah.
Oh, well then it'd have to be someone like
Like,
Halsey
yes, and
or
then it's like she's black, not like we all like, you
yeah.
know how you said we all kind of know?
Yeah, because I
I
can
want it
tell.
to be
Look,
like,
I can tell. You can be super,
yeah, you
super
can
white
sort of
passing.
tell.
You
Yeah.
know, you can
Yeah.
tell. So that'd be hard to. That'd be
Love.
hard.
Folks want you to do a K-pop collaboration.
Yes.
Oh, that would be fun. Yep, that would be
That'd
fun.
be great.
I got to work on my Korean language. Actually, that English was not my first language. Actually,
No.
technically English is my second language. Korean was my first language, but I forgot it because when I moved to the States, they were like, "Oh, can you only speak English?" Because that's the page they were on back then. They didn't want you speaking another language in the house, and they thought kids would get confused. So I ended up losing it, but my pronunciation is good. I can read fluently, but it's embarrassingly slow. But
We'll manifest
I'm
that.
working on it.
We're
I'm working.
we're a group of very powerful manifestors.
Okay, yes,
Yes, we are. We really are.
that
I
part.
love this. Okay, y'all, other questions that come in, and this is one of our favorite games to play, Amerie. So
Okay.
you are playing it of, who can we plot in? It's Tanya and I, we co-founded our publishing house, and we love to find books that have great potential for on-screen adaptation. So literally, like everything we read, we're like, okay, y'all, what does it look like on screen? Let's
Oh,
talk about it. Who is it? What is it? What's going on? But other questions from the crew, because I know we're running over, but there was so much in this one. And we
yes.
were like,
Let's get a lot of questions. Let's try to do the questions. I'll
That's
try not to talk
fun.
too long on them because I'm sorry. I
Oh,
was
we
slowing
love
down the
it.
process.
oh, this is really great. I mean, something you're having me think about just in general as people are like prepping their thoughts. And y'all, you can raise your hands too. We're not a shy group. Um, you really had me thinking about like when we died, what do our souls actually remember? And when I'm reflecting on like John and even this idea that like there are certain things that are like predestined, how did he end up, stuck in this ocean? Like he as a black man could only find solitude, not going over to a final resting place or reincarnating into something else, but he really just wanted to be alone in a house like that, in itself is a statement. You had me really thinking about, what do we actually remember? Like what carries with us? And, how does that show up? either as we're in transition or in our next lives, or, and that it was a huge theme for me that you prompted personally.
Hmm.
Anything else you want to share?
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Dakasha asked about the overlays. Is that something real, or is that like something you made up? Do you think, I mean, I'm sure you talk
Yeah,
about the energy of that because that's a really interesting question.
good question.
Yeah, with the overlays, that to me, since everything is energy, to me that idea that you can exchange energy, because I think you do that anyway. You ever, I don't know how many of you guys have been married or you live with someone, you have roommates, people that share your space, the people that you're around a lot, the energy is flowing one way or another. You're around some people and you feel like you're given a boost all the time. You leave them and you feel boosted. And then other times you can be around someone and you just kind of feel drained. You know what I mean? So there is energy exchange that happens. And I kind of wanted to play with that even when it came, because John's kind of like from a different plane of existence. So I wanted there to, but we're still all energy. So I wanted to kind of figure out a way, just like in science fiction fantasy style, how that would work and how he can. There's almost like a time that's feel a sense of time is running out for him, but we have to be able to kind of be able to keep him around in some way. So it's kind of like doing something with science fiction fantasy approach, but also be able to speak to like what we are. Someone asked about, did he have, I can't see the question anymore. Did he have enough energy?
Transfer back.
Transferred back,
What
yeah.
happened to him in the
Be-
end? Like, did he just
because there was, so the way to get back to the house, it wasn't like he needed to overlay energy to do that. It was in mental, and when he's ready for that. And actually Mabel was able to help him get there, but it needed to be when he was ready, because this is a place that existed only because he created this place, because he was not ready to do anything next. He
Mm,
was an island. He had a lot of guilt still holding him here.
yeah.
Ultimately, he is the person who drove. No, I should not say ultimately. He is the person who drove away, but he was not ultimately that person.
Hmm,
Ultimately, there was someone else who would feel guilt about that. So
hmm.
that's what kept him still there and having to deal with the gray man. See, he could be in that house. The gray man didn't exist when he was really just ready to be oblivious. But you can only be oblivious for so
Oh,
long. Eventually, even in
Forgivable
life,
creep.
the things are, you're
Yeah.
going to have to face your fears. You're going to have to face the things holding you at some point. Now, you might not feel any rocks. Everything may be fine. But when we come to a time where we have to face our shadow side, or like
Hmm.
incorporate that, acknowledge who we are, accept who we are, and work with that, that's when things are going to shake up. And that's
I
when the
like
great
that.
man showed up. But it's because he was ready to see. Someone said he never able to give energy. He could at the very end. Remember when he was giving the energy and he was able to give some of that
when
back,
he
and he
saved
understood.
Persephone. Yeah.
Yes, and it's like he understood what it was like to give at that time.
I have a quick question.
Jaleesa,
Sorry.
and Chelsea, I think Jaleesa wanted to pop in
Oh yeah.
first. Jaleesa, you want to go? And then
Yes, just
Chelsea?
just real quick, Amerie. I'm actually from Texas. Thank you.
I used to live in Texas
Have you
too.
ever been to Corpus Christi?
I
I
feel like I
really want
have,
to know
because
where
I
that
lived
came
in
from.
Texas for like 8 years.
Oh,
I lived in Killeen.
okay.
I was
Okay.
living in Killeen. It's like Central Texas. That's kind of near Waco and Temple. But I think I went to Corpus Christi a couple of times when I was a kid, like with my cousins.
Oh,
But
Okay.
are you from Corpus Christi?
No, 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 not from there. So I was just
Oh.
really wonder. I just Googled and saw the meaning you said earlier. I had no idea that that's what, it was for. So I was wondering what was that connection there.
Yeah, I put in Corpus Christi because it was I lived in Texas for about 8 years, and my when I was a kid, when I was describing like Persephone being in the car and all that stuff with her brother, when I was that age, I lived in Texas, not in Corpus Christi though, but in Texas. I chose Corpus Christi because it was like on the Gulf, and like something about Corpus Christi. I don't know why it was Corpus Christi, other than it was on the Gulf, and I needed that location.
yeah.
Um, but I think it's one of those things with the universe again, because when I looked at it and I was like looking at Persephone and the connection to death and this overall story, and then Corpus Christi, which is like the body of Christ. So it's like again that resurrection theme.
Oh,
That's
wow.
yeah,
Mhm. I did not
all
make that connection at all. Like
yeah,
until you mentioned that tonight, I was like, oh,
and that's kind of where John is flying out of, when he
yes.
dies.
Yeah, which
So
is
it's like all
wild.
resurrection and all of that.
Mhm. Hmm. Sorry, Chelsea. I know you wanted to jump in real quick. Go ahead. Thank you, Jaleesa.
No worries. I guess my question would be, what makes John so special? There's so many people who die with fears and guilt. There's people like Hitler who could have came back and made his wrongs right. But what makes John so special? And it's not like he killed Persephone.
Mhm. I felt like, because my agent asked me that too. She was like, "Why John?" And I was like, "Why not?" That was really the thing, is because I couldn't say what made him so special. Why him? Out of everyone, but why not him? Because what's the criteria? Like
Hmm.
I
someone who
actually
does the
like
worst thing,
Mm.
or
someone who does not something that's so bad.
yeah.
Some Beatrice said to everyone, John could be any one of us. He is a very particular character, but he also is kind of like every one of us. I actually had to rewrite him many times because he felt too
Mhm.
general. From
Mhm.
in the beginning, John was, when I first started writing John, he kind of was who he was all the time. He
Mhm.
wasn't a misanthrope. He didn't hate people. The first few versions of John, he was actually pretty nice. But I was like, dang, John, you boring. And I was like, oh, that's because now I'm learning about story and the character has to change. And so if he's
Yeah.
here, what? And so I learned more about that. But
Mhm.
that's still not something so bad that he would have to be the one to do it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That he would be the one to show up. But I think it's kind of like when you look at it like that, well, what's so special about John that he would appear? It's like, well, that's the question, I guess. It's like, what's so special about any of us for anything?
Mhm.
Why
Mm.
do some of us succeed? Why do some of us get to do
Mhm.
this? Why do some of us get to do that? It's like we're all
That
so special, but we're also not special. But I
that
don't believe that it's because we're nothing. I believe this because we're all actually one. We are all ultimately, there is no we, there
Ooh.
is only I.
Ooh.
In this timeline of the story, would there be another John, or is he the last one?
I don't know. That's a mystery because even when he left, and I got the feeling because that wasn't something I felt like I need to write this to do this. I was writing it and learning as I was getting to
Mhm.
that end. So when he's saying like, she's like, "See you next time," or "I guess I'll see you around," and he was like, he does everything he wants to do with the accounts and the money in the accounts. But I got the impression he doesn't necessarily know if he's going to be back or not. And I didn't either. I was like, is that it? It kind of still felt to me like he wouldn't be because when we get to the end and there's another door, the door opens and it doesn't feel like it opens to where he was. It
Yeah.
opens, it's like
Yeah.
progression, right? But there's still this question mark
Mhm.
because I
Um,
think ultimately it's a mystery.
where did he get, how much money did he have? And this was just because, and this ties into the idea of like, I think this idea, you can have just John, you're a simple person, you're everyone. But the book starts off and there's sort of this irony that like anybody can be famous. Not anybody, because Persephone was trying, but like they made this dead guy famous,
A
right? And
commodity.
Hannah's
Yeah.
a magician at it. But so was his money, because I think he had some, I don't know if he had $100,000 or a
I
million.
never mentioned him as I never not mentioned him. I never imagined him as being particularly wealthy. He
Okay.
was still trying to get it. You know what I mean? That's I think he was still trying to find his way. I just saw him as being someone who was kind of like a loner, a decent able to have a decent flat, able to
Mhm.
have, a decent situation, but nowhere near wealthy. But he wasn't doing poorly either. He's
But
just kind of
dead
like in the
John
middle.
had a bit of money from like Hannah's, his fame.
Oh, yes, when that happened. But it's like, what is he really going to do with it? So it's really just sitting
Yeah,
in an
the
account
dead,
amassing. Yeah,
which
it's
is
just
a
sitting.
bigger question too. You're like,
Yeah.
what does it really matter? All the things that we amass and
Mm-hmm.
have, like none of it
Because he
is,
couldn't do anything with it. That's why he
yeah,
was like, I could give it. I could. It wasn't like he didn't want to give it to Parker because like I need it for something. And that's actually the truth of it. You know what I mean? Is that you really don't really need anything.
what
You
do you
don't.
really need? Yeah. I
You
mean, I
really don't.
asked a question as well on John. Why the name John? Was it John Doe? Was it just
John just
John
came to
you?
me as John. And I feel like when we go back again to the why John, I think that's why. It was a very everyman name. But when I looked at it later, I was like, you've got Persephone, you've got
Hmm.
Corpus Christi, you've got these biblical kind of feelings, the idea of like redemption and stuff like that. And not necessarily just Christian only, but John, you got John the Baptist, you got that. I was like, it was all fitting together. But my first instinct was really just John. His name was John, and I never wanted to change the name. I felt very firmly that his name should be John, also because it was playing into those things too. Uh, and the first thing I was thinking was like John the Baptist, that kind of thing. but it was a very general name, everyman kind of name, like a John Doe.
It all makes sense to us. And this is why I love and enjoy. It's such a thrill to have the author so that we can just unpack so much that you have here. Travis asked a really good question that might take us out. We'll get you out of here in like under 5 minutes.
No, you guys don't have to. I'm enjoying my time, and I don't want you to feel like that I'm in a rush.
Oh my God,
because
you're
I'm
so
not
gracious.
at
We
all.
love this. But Travis
I
was
love talking with
really
you.
big, and it brings us back to, some of the conversations that the book evokes. He said the story is so relatable. When you were talking about the lessons near the beginning, right, about giving, how does one give after being taken from so often? And so we're sort of like exploring bigger themes, but you said, even for yourself, you're like, I'm not the type of person who calls everybody my friend. And, having been in Hollywood, like, how have you sort of come to the place where you're embracing found friends now and giving yourself the space and grace to bring people in closer to you?
Oh, when did I say I'm not calling my friend? Oh, when I was talking earlier.
Yeah,
Oh,
about
it wasn't.
found
It wasn't that
friends becoming family.
Yeah, it wasn't that I didn't call her my friend, because actually I usually kind of use that term loosely, and I feel like I love everybody, kind of, you know what I mean? But it's more like the difference in friends, and I didn't know if I believed in found family. I didn't know if I believed that you could find a family that is like your family. And then I realized, some people's family they don't function great. Which is why when sometimes people be like, I'm calling on my ancestors. I'm like, I don't know about y'all, but sometimes your family, they'll be wanting good for you. So I don't know. You got to depend on which ancestors you're trying to call on. But it depends. I feel like, dang, wait, what? I lost my train of thought because I was about to go into
Like,
found
how have you
family.
been able to wait? He was like, because I love the
Yeah,
question.
Travis.
Like, how do you sort of come back to being open to receive? Like, John had to learn. We saw John went through sort of a humbling, and he was not nice. He was taking from everyone. And you saw like Persephone was also a bit of a taker, but then through the lessons in this book showed that they became willing to give to other people. Like he turned out to learn his lesson of friendship and willingness to give. And like, how do we do that in our own?
Oh, in our real lives.
Yeah.
I think it's when we actually look at, like, if we look at the perspective that we're all here to learn and to teach. And
I like that.
that kind of is like in a nutshell. You're always you're a student in your own life because you're learning, but you can be someone's teacher too. Whether you're a healed person or whether you're like unhealed in some ways, you're still teaching somebody something. And if you're intersecting with that person, there's something that you're supposed to be learning or teaching each other. Something. You might not know what it is, but it's something. Yeah.
I'm just making sure I didn't have any other questions.
That's beautiful. I mean, I think one thing Tanya and I always love to ask our authors, and you touched on this a little bit, is, we're working with all of these authors with different stories, and we find, some writers like are there to push a message. They're so focused on the message. And you talk so beautifully about like letting it come and receiving and being open. How do you ensure and create space to receive as a writer when you're in your creative space, whether it's through music or books? What does that look like for you?
I feel like I just always say I'm open. So it's not a process where I have to become open. I think over the years, when I started probably really understanding more about where I am spiritually, probably like maybe around like 2008, 2007, 2008. I've just since learned to just live like that.
Yeah.
So I don't actually it's not like something that I do or I think about to open up now. It's kind of like that shift and shifting how you just look at the world and you look at your life. So that's what I meant by like it changes how you see everything all day, every day, in every moment, whatever you do. You appreciate, I don't know, this piece of bread, or You don't really have something to eat, but hey, maybe I was supposed to eat this kind of thing. Thank you. Or, oh, sometimes I look at my refrigerator and I'm like, I tell River too, I'm like, this is so wonderful. And I'm so serious. Like, this is so great, especially when the power goes out,
Gratitude.
which does in
Yeah.
Atlanta a lot. And you're like, man, we got to throw out all the food. But then you realize this is really great. It's a great invention. And you know what? We have one. We have a refrigerator that we can put food in, and like how wonderful is that? How abundant is that you can just go in and you pick something that otherwise would spoil? Or
Yeah.
you have I don't know, I got a little espresso thing. Like, thank you. Thank you, God.
Yeah.
Thanks for this. I think when you I just there's just so many things. I think it's really like we all encounter that. It's not just me, you know what I mean? Like, we all have these times where we really understand and we get like some real perspective, especially when you see like what's happening in the world, which is what's always happened in the world. It's like we're here on this planet, like I said, to learn and to teach. And I think to one of the big things to learn is to learn love and to learn to make love-based decisions.
Mm.
Because really, every decision you make is either a love-based decision or it's a fear-based decision. Whether it's, do you take the job? Do you do this? Do you go over here? Do you move? You got to ask yourself, is the thing that's holding me back because I actually want to do this other thing? Or is it because I'm scared to do the thing? Because I don't want to be vulnerable? Because I'm afraid of that. I believe that if you make any decision that's going to be based in fear, you're going to like create this energy of fear, and it's going to like hold you back or stagnate you. So while you're moving through relationships and jobs and what you do with your life, just ask yourself, is this a love-based decision or is this a fear-based decision?
Ooh.
Ooh.
You know? And the more you can say you're making love decisions, I believe the more you're going to be in alignment with your purpose and why you came here and what you came here to do. And you're going to find that life just starts to like flow, and you'll feel the flow.
Was this a love decision? That is like I got to make some decisions this week, and I was like, let me center this right now before we say anything too wild. This is
Oh,
beautiful. I
I
honestly, Emery, like we weren't sure what we were reading when we started this book, and it just came to us like it came over the course of time. It was like, wait, do I like John? Am I John? Who am I forgetting? Like your writing did what we love as a book club in terms of like stimulating conversation. Like those are the books that like get Tanya and I excited, and that's what we think books do is they ignite really critical conversation amongst people. So just thank you so much for igniting this conversation with our community. Like it's been so special. And then hearing you layer that on, like, thank you. This has been beautiful.
it's a beautiful
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for having me. Thank you for taking the time out to read a book, because it's not like it's a song where you just listen to it like, oh, that's a good 3 minutes. It's like, whoa, this is hours you have to put into giving someone else's words a listen and investing your time. And I'm humbled by that. And I really appreciate you taking the time to read it.
We appreciate your time. And
Thank
tell us
you.
before you leave, what are you working on? What should we be looking for next, whether it's in music? I don't know. I feel like you are such a
Book, yeah.
multi-hyphenate. I don't know what's coming next. So surprise us.
I got a line of yoga gear. No, I'm kidding. Uh, I'm working on new music, so that's definitely the thing that's nearest. I have more children's books to write to, so I'm excited about that. I'm also writing. There are a couple books that I've already written, but I don't feel like they're the next thing.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of like holding them. There's like a post-apocalyptic kind of thing that I was writing, and there's also
We
I
love
saw
that.
Sinners, and I was like,
I
there was
wrote
it
that.
vampires. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh man, I'm not done with mine yet. But it's vampires in 1920s and formerly enslaved peoples and powers. And I'm like, Neo
Ooh,
Confederacy. I'm like, hold on. I was like, oh, I need to start.
hurry up, hurry up. Yes.
Vampires is the thing. And I feel like now I have a sense that you like a little bit of gore and horror. Like I could see a
Mhm.
vampire book. Yes.
Yeah. And I
And
want it
if
to
you
be
want to go the
spicy.
indie route, you know some indie publishers. We out here. I love it.
Yes,
I
thank
love it.
you.
It's
Thank
great.
you. Yeah, so I have that and the music. And I'm back. I was on tour with Keisha Cole, and that was like a lot of fun. I love being on tour. Like I could be on tour all year. I just
Oh,
love it. Yeah, so I'm working on the album. I'm thinking spring. So
okay.
I think next week is like back in, and it's just gonna just be one after the other. And Kaylani's gonna be on it. We already talked about it. And
Wow.
so I'm super excited. Yeah.
We
Oh,
love this for you.
I
Well,
know.
listen, this has probably been one of our favorite. Like you've stayed
Oh, thank
long.
you.
You really
You
did.
took
Thank
us on a
you.
journey. I feel like you healed us. You've given us stuff.
Oh,
No, because this is
thank
what
you.
books are about, right? You've given us stuff to work on, ways to look at the world differently. You are brilliant. I feel like some of
Thank
us
you.
might actually go and start to study quantum physics.
Yes,
Hope you
look
guys
at that.
the cliff notes
Yep.
on that. But thank you so much. I just want us to hold up your book, Amerie. We're going to take a quick pick.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, where's your book?
And then can people in the chat hold the chat so that your chat's not coming through the screen while I quickly screenshot this, please, for a sec. Sorry. All right. 1, 2, 3. Hold on. More. Perfect. Okay. Got
Yeah.
Okay.
it.
And book clubbers, we're going to unspotlight. Please unmic, say what you have to say. It's a free for all. Amerie, we stay on and we literally have a
We
little,
just
we
talk.
digress into like what we're reading and all the other pop culture. Like we try to be smart and put together here. Like after
Can
this.
I recommend a couple books? Can I recommend?
Yes, that's also my question, but I feel
Love.
sad.
Oh, I did it.
Please, what
So
are you
Absolutely.
there's
reading?
Always.
someone borrowed this book from me, and I one of my friends. But there's a book by Keisha Bush
Okay.
called No Heaven for Good Boys.
No. Oh, I love the title. Okay.
Yeah, and it's a soup can. The cover is a soup can, and you have these two little
Yes.
boys with their arms around each other, and that like broke my heart when I said boy mom especially too. I was like, what is that? She basically was talking about how when she's American and she's Black American. She went to Africa, I think it was Senegal, and she was just seeing like these little boys walking around with these tomato cans and was trying to figure out what was going on. And it could come to find out that a lot of times people would send their kids from the villages, like their boys, with like a spiritual teacher, or, and then he would like school them, teach them, but
Hmm.
it kind of ends up they end up panhandling a lot. And
Yeah.
so you follow the story of these boys who I think now it's been a while. Are they best friends? I think they were best friends, and they go under the tutelage of a teacher, and it's kind of like what ends up happening with the experience. And some of it's really heartwarming, but some of it's heartbreaking. There's a
Okay.
slight speculative element where it's a little bit how like Beloved is not a speculative
Yes.
thing, but there's
Yeah. Yeah.
moments where kind of like it's not real.
Yes.
Okay, so there's towards the end it's a little bit like that, but No Heaven for Good Boys is one of the best books I've ever read. It made me cry.
Wow.
It taught me a lot because I never heard of such a thing. I never knew this existed, but it was amazing. It's No Heaven for Good Boys by Keisha Bush, and I would also like to recommend The Parted Earth,
Oh my goodness.
which should be a movie. I was like,
Pardon?
no one picks up the rights. When I get a chance, I will pick up these film rights if she's
We love
trying
it.
to have it. This is also
Good.
on Emery's book club selection too, by Anjali and Jetty. It basically talks about the partitioning of India
Hmm.
and into Pakistan. And I never really knew the history. It's a beautiful story. Again, it's one of those things that you can see it play out like a movie, and it's like, oh, and then at the end, you're like, oh, of course. Oh my goodness, it's so poignant. The ending, the circle, and it's so beautiful. And it's about the partitioning of India into Pakistan, 1948. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know that when they partitioned it, when the British pulled out,
Sure. Yeah.
that people were running onto trains because basically neighbors were turning on neighbors. The Muslims, the Hindu, I think the Hindu majority, the Muslims left, and it was like such a blood.
Ooh, this is
Like picture people getting on the train, and then other people were like, that people are going on the train from that place. We're
Mhm.
gonna stop the train and kill everybody on it. That kind of thing. It
Okay.
was
wow.
like and this is real. This is not fake. This is like real. It's just so many millions of people died during this partitioning of what
Yeah.
became Pakistan from India. And so you have a story of like a family, and then what ended up happening to the family, the separations, separations between friends and family, and a beauty in within this story is a beautiful love story.
Oh, I love it. I need all the pieces.
It is
Well
a
done.
movie. Both of these
Right.
books, they are a movie they're
Yep.
playing in your head. So I
Yep.
highly recommend No Heaven for Good Boys by Keisha Bush and The Parted Earth by Anjali and Jetty. The Parted
Love
Earth.
it.
And look at the cover. It's so
Book covers, have you
gorgeous.
guys, because I feel like this is we are a very ferocious group. These are two books that I've never heard of. So what a gift. I don't know if anyone else had
Yay.
heard of these. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Love that. We love that. We love that. Okay, I do have one quick question for you. What's your favorite book that you remember reading as a kid?
Oh, I have it. I have a section for that. The Brothers Grimm fairy tales.
Oh,
It's a leather bound edition my parents gave me when I was like 9.
Beautiful.
And I was so excited. I was just like literally like this. I was like kind of like a hyper kid, probably my
Yes.
ADHD or whatever. But it was like I was like, Mommy and Daddy, y'all didn't notice something was going on. I was looking at this Thanksgiving VHS. They're like, no. I said, I'm looking at this footage and I'm like, that kid has like ADHD or something. And they're like, no, we just thought you just like to move a lot.
No, because I think a lot of women are like recognizing this now later in life too, because we probably were smart. You did all the things. It was like the moniker of like talks too much in class, blah, blah, blah. But like you got the work done. So they didn't see it as like boy ADHD, but man, like,
I mean, I'm like, I keep getting up from the table. Y'all are daddy's filming the table for some reason. He's filming dinner. I'm like, you didn't see me get up literally 5 times in 10 minutes and I keep coming back with nothing. Like I just come back with nothing. Like, where am I going? What am I doing? It's like, and then I'm so excited. And then he was like, nah, you just like that. It was just like, I was like, yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it.
Parenting back.
What else, guys? Anything else? Okay, one last question that we're really going to let you go.
No, good.
What are you watching on TV?
Okay, so so a friend was recommending some stuff to me. I haven't watched anything on TV though in a minute, and I ain't gonna lie. I haven't read a book in a minute either because stories distract me. See, if I read books and I'm watching TV, I'm like, oh yeah, oh I see that's the foil character. Oh, that's the plot point. Oh, I really like how they did that. Really the intro was really good. To guide the character arc to this. Good pinch point. Like, because I love story structure, I learned that over time. So I can't watch stories or read because I was like, Amory, we're working on some music. Close the book. I haven't watched anything because it makes me do that. What I will suggest though, someone suggested to me this movie that just came out called Weapons.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Really crazy, but they said it's great and they watched it twice. Also, I highly recommend. Does your audience like you guys in the book club, do y'all like science fiction?
Yeah, we like science, sci-fi, speculative. It depends.
Altered Carbon is dope.
Who is it?
Altered Carbon.
Oh,
it's basically about. Are you familiar with that on Netflix? It's like in the future they're able to like create sleeves and move their consciousness via like a disc. April Roots says Weapons was amazing. I want to watch it, but I get really scared. I don't know, guys, but it's I guess
Danny does too.
I'll try. I'll try.
You guys are gonna be mad at me because I finally watched Sinners, and I bought a ticket so I supported the cause. Okay. But I finally watched Sinners about 2 weeks ago, and I had nightmares. Like literally had nightmares. I had horrible nightmares of being
not. Someone said I have to. April said I have to watch Sinners first. I have it on my phone. I bought it, but I'm scared.
It's beautiful.
It's why do people keep saying that? It's about vampires, but it's not about vampires. I'm like, everything I'm seeing looks like it's really scary.
There's only one part that I jumped at, like truly, and there was no vampire involved.
Okay.
It was literally, there was no vampire.
I think you like the structure of the story. That's what you just focus on that. Just focus on
Yes.
Okay.
Beautifully done, but I had nightmares that night.
See, and you're saying you had nightmares. Is it because of the vampires?
But I know I'm a scary person. Like I don't watch scary things. Yeah. Everyone had to like coax me into being like, it's not that bad. It clearly was, but it was a beautiful.
I mean, I'm a person who gets scared. I mean, Chucky scared me. Like until 5 years ago, I still jumped in the bed because if I walk by the bed, something might grab me, like the poltergeist clown. I still jumped in the bed, and to this day, sometimes if I'm in the car by myself at night, I'll still go like this to make sure like Chucky's silhouette.
Yeah. Remember the killer that was going to get you in the car? Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, Freddy Krueger. Yep. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I love Chucky. That was like my favorite thing. I used to have this creepy doll. Did anyone have the Cricket dolls? And her eyes would like, you put a cassette in her back and she'd like sing weird songs.
That's creepy.
She
Yeah,
was
very.
creepy. And she's this little brown doll. Oh, I loved her. And she wore a little striped shirt just like Chucky.
Oh my
So I just
gosh.
thought they were like family. It was really
Dolls were my nightmare. Like I would have a nightmare, like a recurring nightmare where I would open the door and I'd be like, hello. And I would look down and there'd be like a doll standing
and it'd
there,
be
like
standing.
recurring.
Just like,
Yes.
You need to
yeah.
Google what that means. That's what I do when I have dreams. You have to write it down and Google it if it's reoccurring.
Okay. Another one was my
I'm
teeth
free.
falling out, but I
Oh,
did look that
that,
up.
yeah.
You feel like no one's listening to you.
Aw.
That's what it said.
I like that explanation. I heard a darker one, so I'm not even gonna bring that energy on this space. Like
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's fine. It's totally fine. But dolls, we love a good doll over here. And, it's fine.
This is somewhat frozen.
Oh, you are. It's
I see everybody.
Well,
you should be
I'm
able to
glad I
now.
made someone the co-host because I don't know why I'm frozen right now.
Oh no, you're not frozen. Oh,
You're not frozen.
you're kind of
You.
going in and out a little bit.
We
Okay.
do see you.
All right. Well, we have now officially gone into the after party. I really
Okay. Woo!
I really try to keep people. I cannot control anything right now. I don't know what's going on. My literally my whole computer is having a nervous breakdown. So
I didn't realize my face was so close to the thing. I was starting
no.
like this,
Hi,
and I was like this,
Chelsea.
and just
Welcome. I'm gonna unspotlight us all except for
Yes.
whoever is talking. But I will keep Amerie up there because you are the guest of honor. But Chelsea, did you have something to say, or you guys, what's going on? Let's chat. And Amerie, I just want to end this. You can ghost away into whatever. You can stay, you can join. I'm so cognizant and grateful for your time. Thank you so much for
thank
joining
you.
us.
I'm gonna have to tend to River because he's been pretty good.
I
But
bet.
I heard he's been good, but guess what? I said, make sure you don't. Mommy's working, River. You know, and he's like been good. And I know he's
How old
on
is
his
your son?
Roblox. He's 7, and
Oh,
he's on Roblox. I know he wouldn't go to bed when we were doing it, so I was like, I have to just let him stay up. But I heard that freezer open. I know he got some ice cream.
Oh, there's some ice
I
cream.
said that's enough ice cream for the day. See, I heard the ice. Oh, you know what? Maybe he got the ice pack because sometimes he does like to eat ice. So we'll see. But
Okay.
I gotta find out if that was ice cream or ice pack. Yeah.
we are so grateful for your time. We loved your writing. We loved your book. We wish you the best. We are all overlaying beautiful, positive energy on you.
Thank you.
Love and light. You guys can unmic and say your piece. But Amerie, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you all so much.
At Krispy Kreme donuts in a completely different light.
And French
Oh my
fries.
God, yeah.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
excited
you,
for
everyone.
music.
Enjoy.
Your
Enjoy the
new
book.
album. And if you need a dancer, let me know. I'm a professional dancer.
Oh
in
yeah,
LA.
Chelsea's in LA. She's
Really
a
good
fantastic dancer.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.